We talked a little bit about Samir's deck list, and yeah, a Spright Melfi variant versus Ryhan's Kashtira deck. Now, the thing with Samir as well, he's actually playing a couple of Kashtira cards himself, isn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. He's the only one Spright player we have seen with 2 Fenrirs in his deck. Something that was somewhat popular in YCS Lyon, not so much today, but I mean, it's working out for him.
Yeah, I think this is something that we have seen so far over the last few months with the swap frogs being played, and Samir is not mentioning them, but he's playing 3 swap frogs as well, which I think is, is a good addition. He said yesterday in the interview as well that he really wants to summon the Totally Awesome, so maybe we will see it in action.
But great start here by Ryhan. Sometimes an impermanence is enough. There is an Ash Blossom as well, I believe, from Samir. But this opening is really nice from Ryhan.
Yeah, it's pretty strong here considering how, you know, Unicorn, probably the best starter that you want to see in Kashtira, met with an infinite impermanence, but he has the ability to extend further with the Kashtira Birth into Fenrir, and now an Ash Blossom.
Yeah, Ash coming down, will be able to get rid of some extra deck cards. Let's see if he's playing any one-offs, so that's what exactly Ryhan is gonna go through, and it seems like he might get rid of the Mosquito. Let's see. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like the Shadow Mosquito is the probably one of the more deadly cards going second for Samir here.
Yeah, he's not playing the Gamma Burst in the main deck, so he only relies on
the issue is that it was negated by impermanence, so he was just going to, and he shouldn't even have looked at his for an extra deck, but fair enough. At least they know what they are playing, so.
Pot of Prosperity and Fenrir, Unicorn, Birth. What an incredible opening hand.
Yeah, honestly, Pot of Prosperity is one of the most played cards in this top 8. Just an amazing addition to any of these decks, and this hand is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, the only drawback with Prosperity is you cannot draw for the rest of this turn, but I mean, it's not going to be too much of an issue at all. There isn't a lot of whole bunch of draw power in this variant here. We see a lot of going second cards here.
A lot of tech cards.
Yeah.
Also the Lava Golem, something that we haven't seen so far this weekend.
Pretty underwhelming pot, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Might be forced to pick a Lance even if he feels like Samir has anything that could be used against it, I guess.
Well, the Kashtira deck showing its resiliency here and the ability to play through these disruptions from Samir, but yeah, maybe just a follow-up or a little bit of protection with Lance, as you mentioned, is probably a good shout here.
Yeah, again, they know each other pretty well. They probably know their deck lists, so whether Samir has anything for going second, we could see this Lance. Otherwise, it might even be a pot into pot. Yeah, and that's what it is, yeah.
Ooh. Well, unfortunately, Pot of Prosperity once per turn, gonna have to just simply wait another turn before being able to activate the second one, and I suppose it's just doesn't really feel like he needs the protection with the Lance and just passes on a simple Fenrir.
Wow. So maybe he has a Book of Moon, for example, or another Forbidden Lance, maybe.
Yeah, decided to opt out even the Shangri-La, although he's not playing the mirror match, but now it's back to Samir.
Samir on this Spright deck with the Kashtira Fenrirs is, I suppose, I don't want to say it's very common at all, is it?
No, absolutely
not. It used to be quite common, as Marcello said, like in the period of YCS Lyon, in which Fenrir was popular, and here it is.
One of the 2 copies, actually pretty nice right here.
I suppose if you +5 on 2, it does make 7. So Samir incorporating a Fenrir package, just as you mentioned, kind of before the release of Photon Hypernova, just using it as a just generic good starter card.
Yeah. Both going first or second, so it's it makes sense, and it's probably one of those cards you can also easily side out if you feel like.
Also, do you agree on Ryhan just passing turn? Like without making anything else?
I think it's where the decision with the Lance paid off. So if you pick up the Lance, it's better to go Shangri-La to just protect it, and otherwise it felt like that was not enough. So it's okay to just keep them on the field, I think.
Hard to say if they actually know card for card each other's deck list, considering how they're teammates and such. But I don't know. I suppose like in a general sense, maybe like kaijus, that kind of thing. You don't really want to overcommit into just a Shangri-La body.
And here, as you can see, Fenrir is gonna be used, and finally we can get rid of this mosquito if he feels like it.
I think he's only playing. Oh no, he is actually playing 2 copies of Zeus.
Yeah.
So
so that's why he transitioned instead to the Melfi XYZ.
Yeah. So the Melfi XE monster is extremely powerful for the sort of end field that you try. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the other Fenrir added.
Right. That's just gonna drop that down alongside the Nimble to special summon out from the deck another level 2 here. And I suppose the dream extender here would be at any Spright card at this point.
Yeah, but this is good enough, potentially, if there is no face-down threat from Ryhan. So let's see.
Seen a couple of Spright variants throughout this whole entire tournament. And what do you think about like the Melfi specifically, rather than, you know, maybe playing something like the Adventure Engine?
Yeah, I do like it because it's just 2 cards, and the rest of them are in the extra deck. So honestly, it's it basically adds 1 to 2 more interruptions, pretty much 2 interruptions at the cost of nothing. Because any single combo, even just the Beaver alone, gets you to the Melfi combo alongside it. So I really like it as a package, and it doesn't surprise me that we have some yet remaining in the top 8.
Spright Carrot comes down here from the hand, having hard drawn that. That's a very, very good way to try and play through going second here into a Sprint now, sending from the deck probably a Nimble monster here.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, because here from now on, if the Beaver, if the Angler resolves, then you can also go for the Gigantic if it really feels like, and from then you can get the blue as well with the Jet.
I guess the surprise for me really is the Swap Frogs. Those are something we have not seen in a long time, and I'm kind of skeptic about them being that useful. But Samir will probably prove me wrong throughout this match.
Yeah, Samir is no stranger to trying sort of different tech cards, different approaches to deck building, and yeah, historically we know that about him. So we'll see if it pays off in this matchup as we begin to overlay our Link 2 monster and the Nimble for a gigantic Spright.
And with the Carrot, of course, this face down does not really matter. And we can see here why the Runics are not good, according to Samir, because the battle phase is gonna be a thing. And yeah. Is he playing the Gamma in the main deck, the Gamma Burst, I mean?
No, he doesn't. No, he only plays the Mosquito. Yeah. Which is something, by the way, if you play this version, I will be a fan of playing the Gamma Burst, because basically you have so many different solutions, and then if this is the case, your opponent gets rid of the Mosquito, which was not, because then it ended up, you know, getting rid of the Melfi.
So this is a bit of an unconventional play. I mean, it's not super unknown, but yeah, the Bujin Link monster special summons a monster from the hand and a monster from the graveyard with the same level, going into that Shadow Mosquito, now into the Spright starter for the Spright Red here.
And I'm surprised that Ryhan wanted to, you know, banish this Mosquito, but then in the end didn't.
Yeah, now he thought about it at first.
Yeah. And this is easily game from Samir.
Yeah, this will be enough.
So the Shadow Mosquito, for you guys at home who don't know how this card works, declare an attack, detach, and it places a counter, a hallucination counter, and then everything that you crash into it will be inflicting damage to your opponent that you would have taken instead.
Yeah. Pretty much equal to the attack, so yeah.
It's really unfortunate that he actually considered the Mosquito at first and then went for the Melfi.
I mean, to be fair, it was probably over anyway, but like this makes it super easy to OTK. Because basically it's 2,500 for each monster that can attack over it, so it's a lot. It's a lot, Yeah, and it doesn't seem like there is anything from Ryhan, so...
Just going through the motions here.
Exactly, gonna deal 25.
I think he's explaining how the Shadow Mosquito interaction actually works.
Yeah.
So I suppose, do you think like this is one of the advantages of Spright? You know, typically going second is probably a little bit harder than usual, but you know, having the ability to set up a big field like this or go second with the Mosquito, do you like that in the versatility that the deck offers?
I do really like it. I mean, I gotta say, obviously the Runics are also really good, but This deck seems like a top contender, and I don't mind it at all. It has a lot of versatility, as mentioned. Going first, he can do a lot. Going second, too. There are not many cards that are really good at stopping you. Like one entropy is usually not enough. And yeah, I think it has really good chances of taking it all the way to the victory. So this game, it's over. So it seems like Ryhan is still debating and checking his math, but it should be plenty.
I'm not sure if there's anything that can be used as disruption from the hand here, or you know, as we mentioned, that face down, the Spright carrot offers that protection if necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if they're just counting or debating what's going on. At the same time here...
Yeah, I think they're just trying to double check that.
Okay, because you need to attack with the smaller ones first. Okay. I got scared for a moment because I thought you attack with the gigantic, which would get rid of the hallucination counter as it is fair tissue, but okay. You attack with the other monsters first, and let's see if there is anything face down from Ryhan that can save him. Just to force out this carrot, maybe. Yeah.
Do you think in hindsight maybe overlaying into that Shangri-La would have been a little bit safer? Would have mattered?
I don't think it would have mattered at all, because you can do just the same as what we have just witnessed. And yeah, it is plenty of damage to seal this one out. So I think we're gonna see an handshake quite soon. Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's just a matter of math from Ryhan, but this has been enough as it is already dealt 8,200 to Ryhan life points. He just needs to realize it.
So we're just confirming things with the judges to make sure that this all adds up and this is conveniently going through the exact motions that they wanted here. So, in terms of the deck list itself for Kashtira, we saw a lot of...
okay, we saw damage tap Forbidden Lands, but yeah, it doesn't matter at all. So, okay. Sorry, what were you saying, Nadir?
Yeah, no, in terms of the deck list itself, we saw Ryhan playing quite a lot of different tech options and such.
Yep.
We saw the Lava Golems, the Dart Rulers in the main deck. Dart Ruler, how do you feel about that in the main?
It's definitely a unique choice, but at the same time, I think it has to do with the fact that I mean, at least 3,000 duelists were expected this weekend, and when you play against such an amazing field of duelists, but like 12 rounds, top 64, you need to prepare for a real variety of decks. And Dark Ruler might be better against some matchups, worse against some, but in general, I would say it's pretty good to just negate all of your opponent monsters. So it seems to me as if it's just a generic card that Ryhan thought was going to be good. And in this matchup, it actually is really good, going second against the Melfi Spright board. But he now needs to go first.
Yeah, no. So Ryhan gets a chance to go first again, see if he can open as well as he did before. And despite that amazing opening that he had, the hand traps used by Samir was enough to shut him down. Going first, however, we could see some of these options that he's got here. We've got Dimension Shifter, not incredible in this matchup. Spright itself has historically played it against Tearlaman in the last format, so potentially not that, but a pointer of the Red Lotus we see here.
Thrust with the
as well.
By the Grave.
Basically, we have discussed how amazing a pointer of the Red Lotus is, and it's arguable whether, we mentioned yesterday whether we like it or not, but to even play into a step forward, Ryhan is playing a card we have yet not seen this weekend, which is Light Force Sword. Essentially, a similar card to a pointer in this deck, because what it does is you randomly banish face down a card from your opponent hand. They will get it back after a while, pretty much after 4 turns, but with a Rise Art, you just get it right away. So essentially you get rid of a random card from your opponent hands, and when you draw it with a lot of these cards, like even multiple copies, it's not once per turn, you can do your own small end loop similar to Dark World, I guess, and those are definitely coming in now.
you know, we talked about this before, just seeing cards that are absolutely ancient resurfacing
Yeah.
into the meta is
Exactly.
you know, one of the beauties of the game here.
Yeah, also Samir is playing, you know, the Grave of the Super Ancient Organism we talked about yesterday, and once again, I think this is another very old card, you know, from...
Talk me through some of these one-offs in the side deck from Samir. What do you think of these ratios?
Well, I mean, one bell, one droll, one grave.
I think he was late. No, he didn't have time to come here. He just took some
couldn't find them in time.
Yeah.
Maybe the logic is sort of just to diversify the options in your side deck, depending on.
Let's call it that. He's probably playtesting at YCS London to find out which of these should be played at free copies. But regardless, it's going really well for him, and we might see some of these one-offs in the deck for this matchup. So regardless, one of these duelists is gonna lose here in top 8. The other will advance to the first semi-finals. They are ready, so let's jump back into game 2.
Well, Ryan gets another chance at this, having taken a game down here, and potentially has another option here. Do we go first, maybe? You know, do you play like the mind game, maybe? Let your opponent start, make them miss side?
I mean, sometimes you can...
That's what he did!
Nice.
That's what he did!
Nice.
Wow.
Nice call.
Okay.
Ooh. And it actually paid off, because there is a Kurikara in the end from Samir, which is going to be useless at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, utilizing the ability to sort of mind game, take advantage of your opponent's side decking patterns, because you know you can really take out a lot of powerful cards in your deck if you think you're going first, or rather going second, and then when you swap that around, you have cards that just don't function, like Kurikara, as you mentioned, just totally dead if you're going first.
I like that a lot in siding, and actually we will walk him through some of the matches. Eric Osbeck, one of the amazing European players, was knocked out by Santoni with this exact strategy. He let him go first, and he drew into evenly matched Gamma, and you know, a lot of these cards, and he just lost in top 32 like this.
Ever been a fan of smoke screening?
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one to me, but yeah, I do like it in general as an idea, I guess.
And especially what usually happens, and I think it happened to Samir, that if you thought you would have gone second, you basically side out the double cross, which is something that Samir did. So I mean, he only has this Smasher which he left in the deck, and also he hard drew the red, which is very nice, because now you can go with the sprint and send the angler. I mean, I think the setup will be very, very powerful.
Yeah, he also has a starter, by the way, so he has a lot, as mentioned. He can get to another card, another interruption, and now you can see the Melfi, for example, so let's see.
There it is.
Yep.
Despite the sort of trying to four-dimensional chess your opponent into miss-siding, it's, as you mentioned, does it feel like it mattered? I mean, this is full combo, right?
Yeah, exactly, because like Samir thought he would have gone second. Indeed, we saw the evenly match had been sided in, but I mean, look at this end. Because like sometimes you know, just Spright with one card put up this incredible field, and
that's it. Yeah.
So the Melfi of the Forest activating the effect to search out the Melfi caddy, and in the end phase, you can special summon the Melfis from your hand. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how this interaction works?
Yeah, it's a very unique one. As mentioned, once you special summon, when your opponent normal summon or special summon a monster, you can get it back to your end and search for a beast, in this case the other Melfi in the deck, and then perform a synchro summon from the end, which gives you a level 4 synchro, which is usually the Herald of the Arclight. Or it can be even the Melfi Synchro, which essentially is the Merry Melfis that bounce a card, so kind of a compulsory evacuation device kind of effect. The only worry I have is there is no interruption for spell and traps. Yeah. So if an evenly match would be picked up here, which now the Ash Blossom is forced to be activated for this exact reason, we could have been in trouble. And Dark Ruler also would have been really nice.
You mentioned the Spright starter that Samir had. Did he already use it this turn, or is it one of the set?
No, it is one of the set.
Okay.
Yeah.
So interesting that he doesn't immediately go for starter into Carrot. Do you think it's to try and play around Dark Ruler?
Yeah, but also you saw a Lava Golem being revealed in game 1, so maybe that's why he wants to wait, and if your opponent Lava Golems you, then you flip it to get Carrot, which can make sense, I guess.
I really like that. He's playing pretty conservatively to play around a lot of different cards that Ryan might have here. And And I'm just wondering if do you think maybe Ryhan is regretting his decision to go second?
From what we saw so far this weekend, I think that Kashtira players in general tend to go second after side deck.
Ooh,
so
but here we see a nice one in talent, and I regret obviously not using the starter earlier. So let's see.
Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is a monster effect that activated during this main phase, which allows you to fulfill the activation requirements of the triple talents. And this card, I mean, we've seen it in and out of the formats over the last couple of years. What an incredible card. Mind Control, Pot of Greed, and what's the other one? Third effect. All three of those dual monster staples in one singular card.
Also, they want to look at your opponent's hand and choose one.
There it is. Duo, that's the classic one. Yeah,
just
let's call it duo.
delinquent one.
Delinquent Uno. All right, actually choosing to steal the Melfi. Do you think we're trying to go for a Zeus play here?
Yeah, for sure. He's playing at the same time, obviously not a way to climb it, so the red would still be an issue, but here we see the start. And
so
this is,
So the logic here is that you take the Xyz monster so that you can perform a battle, then use it to climb up into Zeus here, right? But you detach 2 from the Zeus, you're going to get negated by red.
Exactly.
If you try and go for Downer to put more materials on it, the sprint bounces away. I mean, you wouldn't do that anyway because it doesn't have 4 materials, but does it really achieve much?
And also it's unlikely that he's playing Downer in Kashtira, so it's like...
But I really like the play from Samir, because now with the sprint effect, he just detaches a material from the Gigantic and just bounce back the Melfi.
And we still have the red and the carrot online, and it feels like... I mean, right, special summon Fenrir.
We might see the Smashers.
Yeah, I think it will make sense. Now you go for the Smasher, you just get rid of the Fenrir, then if he goes with a spell...
You can wait potentially for the battle phase, at least the start of the battle phase. So that's what I think Samir is going to do, because if he activates it, you have red, so you're not really afraid. And I think this makes sense.
If you activate red to negate here, do you think you tribute the Gigantic because it has no materials to destroy, or do you want to leave a level 7 on the field for your opponent?
No, I think you get rid of it. Most likely, just because you have the Smashers, so they would need 3 ways to access it, and 3 monsters because you have carrot to negate the birth. So I think you're fine with getting rid of the Fenrir.
Well, this is one of the great additions, or rather one of the great abilities of the Spright, carrot, and red, is that when you negate with them, first of all, they don't negate the activation, they negate the effects, and on top of that, it's optional to destroy if you tribute a extra deck monster. So, and you have that option to decide, do I want to remove it? Do I want to keep it on the field?
Yeah, here you have to for multiple reasons again, because if you leave the Fenrir, it forces you to another negation by just entering the battle phase. So let's see.
Options still exist. I mean, an Xyz can still battle this turn technically. You know, we can attack over the Spright, but here comes Ryhan.
Normal summon finally by Ryhan, and yeah, again, Samir taking his time.
Because now if you go Smasher on the Fenrir, then if he has a Theosis, for example, you can negate it with the carrot.
Yeah.
He just has so many options. He has so many ways to stop him from continuing.
I mean, at the same time, why is it threatening though?
Yeah, true.
Like,
and Samir gives him the thumbs up. You know,
it's like
go ahead.
If you banish it with the Smashers, then they can get to the Theosis to add it back to the end. So you can just wait, and now you can use the carrot if you want. I think this is fine for Samir. Like, you're in a good spot at the moment.
Yeah, like you said, waiting till the star step is fine. If he commits into an Xyz monster, that's an easy Smasher option.
I think he's just trying to realize whether he can lose this game. Also, guys, we are kind of forgetting about the Melfi, so he has a lot of stuff that he can do.
So at some point, this caddy could return to the hand to get a search here.
Yeah, that's the only surprise to me that he hasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason is the Fenrir, but yeah, now we see the Smashers, and it's actually a kind of a surprise because it would mean that the Theosis would resolve, and if he gets rid, you know what I mean? He has to kind of get rid of the Arise now. Yeah. So now we will see the red. Yep. And one last card. It is the birth, and we do have the carrot. So he's thinking about, obviously, he has to negate the effect, not the activation. And I think Ryhan
Wow.
Tried his best.
Yeah, I know.
Unfortunately. Oh, and I think
Also
he top
starter.
decked a starter. Wow. Yeah, I mean, very well played by
Yeah.
Samir, recognizing all of his options. And now in the lead, he really has a lot of options. He's not gonna be able to go for the Mosquito as he did in game 1, because there is no monster from his opponent, but still a lot of different options. And
I don't believe Ryan has any cards left in hand, right?
no, at all.
Yeah, so he's pretty much in a top deck position if we
Yeah.
can't close out the game here. Kashtira Birth does offers a lot of recursion and the ability to grind, but Samir is really far ahead right now, isn't he?
Yeah, he does have this Kurikara, which again is quite useless at the moment. But we mentioned it in the top 64 with Jessica. That basically, she was left with only 2 cards, and Dinka decided to just pass on a red plus carrot because, well, you can just use those to negate whatever cards they draw into. So this might be similar if Samir doesn't find enough damage to close this one out.
Personally, the only thing I'm not like super, crazy about with the Spright deck is you don't really have a lot of follow-up in this situation. He had to draw, and you also had to make sure that you had enough survival with those monsters to then go into Gigantic. But if your opponent is able to clear everything but not end the game, without the ability to, recur from the graveyard like Spright Elf, it just you kind of fall apart. But does do enough to survive, doesn't he?
He did, and honestly didn't use the Melfi, because that's also a way to, get back some more resources into the Herald to just have one more negation. But for now, he's just trying to figure out whether he can win. And as mentioned, worst case scenario, he's not playing the Gamma even in the side deck, and he probably wouldn't play it now. But decides to get a starter instead of the double cross. Interesting. Maybe he sided it out going second.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Alberto, probably not really want to put that in going first.
Yeah.
Although sometimes, do you think it's okay to keep in a card like that, just in case you can break your opponent's field and then you set up and then let them go on turn 3 if you can?
Honestly, of course, he didn't know that he would have gone second, because Ryan let him start. But in general, you usually side it out if you plan to go second, especially because you have multiple cards such as Evil Image and stuff, so you don't really want to draw that. And I'm pretty sure that Samir sided out the Swap Frogs as well by going second.
Yeah,
which
for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, he could also go battle phase, and then in main phase 2, he could go for a Zeus play so that he has the carrot plus red plus the Zeus. So I think that would be a nice plan, in my opinion. So
and this is where he decides whether he wants to use it or go for Zeus. Okay, no. Gigantic, he's debating. Yeah, okay, he's going to be using it. Yeah. So no more Zeus, but let's see. No Swap Frogs either. Oh, he's playing double carrot.
Oh.
Interesting. Double red
Double
as
red.
well.
Okay.
Whoa. Okay. Really interesting ratios, yeah. Double carrot and double red. Okay.
I suppose with the sort of evolution of this deck now, it's probably not too bad to just hard draw them, right?
No.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough, absolutely.
And again, as we mentioned, Samir doesn't really need to do anything drastic, doesn't particularly need to go for a game when you have this many resources ahead of your opponent. They simply just have
It's just going to end, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening. Ryan, one draw away from being in this duel. The best draw by far would be probably the Dark Ruler, right?
Yeah. But I would have gone for the Zeus play, honestly, so that you have the solution of carrot or red just in case, and then the Zeus as well, right?
But instead, Ryan starts things off with the Birth, and let's see if he tributes the Gigantic. He does.
Yeah, he wants to remove it.
Yeah, wants to get rid of it. One more card from Ryan. Is it anything useful, or is this going to Samir?
Thrust.
Ooh, Thrust.
Okay.
Nice one, actually.
It's actually really scary in this situation, isn't it? I mean, all we have left is the red is still online, but I mean...
It's definitely a good one. He can access some of his draw power, potentially. A lot of different options.
What you're looking for here?
You can do, like, you can either try to go crazy, or you can even grab something like a Storm and get rid of, turn this into a top deck war, because your opponent has used pretty much every Spright card. Yeah. You know they have a starter, so obviously that's not great. But if you can beat it... Did you get Terraforming? Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So Thrust as a counterpart to the Triple Talents that was released a year or two ago now as a new one. that allows you to, you can't just search talents with it, but the powerful effect, of course, that people have been utilizing it for is to be able to search any spell and trap card from your deck to your set, technically. And if your opponent controls a monster, you can add it directly to your hand and use it this turn.
And yeah, he's gonna use the effect because his opponent is forced to negate, but then you can use the other effect of Fenrir. So this is actually huge. He gets rid of every single card.
Do you think it's even worth using the red to negate here? I suppose you have to, right? You can't let them get the search.
You have to, but this is completely back online for Ryhan. It was definitely one of the better draws from the deck at Frost.
Yeah, not bad. Actually managing to turn this around. So after a pretty poor start from Ryhan, maybe with that misstep on even deciding to go second altogether, has maybe clawed his way back into this.
Yeah, very surprisingly, still the Kurikara, the only card in the end, and the starter gonna be used now just to thin out of these decks and also get... I mean, I guess there was a consideration whether this is worth it because of the Kurikara. So technically, I think you can wait if you have a target to bait the Fenrir. So if you draw and then activate starter to go blue, and if they then Fenrir, you can Kurikara it. I think honestly that would have been nice. And let's see if this is not a misstep by Samir, but obviously, unless you draw into the third starter, and I don't want to jinx it, you can use the jet. So let's see. Is it gonna be the starter? Ooh, with a spell by its Feather Duster. Okay.
Yeah, a bit of a top deck war going back and forth here. Samir, a little bit of an edge, I'd say, considering how we resolved the blue last turn. We have a jet in our hand, so we still have a decent amount of engine.
It is as simple as this. If he is able to force out this Fenrir, it's game. Because it's exactly on 3000. Kurikara would be 3000 attack. So that's his plan right now.
Oh, but I think he's out of starters, though.
Did he use all three already?
I think so.
Might be the case.
Because two are in the graveyard and one is banished.
It's banished one, so yeah, he's out of... He cannot use the jet. That's why maybe using this in the end phase was a mistake, but... I guess worst case scenario, he can go for a Nomibaru, you know, something like this. Let's see.
Actually, a Omibaru would be... Okay, we're going to go for the mana.
Yeah, it's still good enough. As I mentioned, you really only need to force your opponent to activate this Fenrir, and I think there is only that much that your opponent can do. Let's see.
All right, Mannequin effect to attempt to special summon here. It looks like it's...
Ryhan allows it.
Ooh. Okay.
This is really intense.
But unfortunately, he does use it, and this means that the Kurikara becomes an option. And there it goes,
Wow.
Kurikara from Samir. Wow.
Trimming it off from the field here, gaining the attack, as you mentioned. Is this enough to just clear?
It's barely missing some life points, I believe. Because the mannequin is 2000, or I believe?
It's 2000, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so this wouldn't be enough. It would be 2600. But it's still really dominant.
All right, well, we've completely cleared here. And
2600, yeah. And in the end phase, you get back the Fenrir as well, because you summon it with Kurikara. So this is still really good. You get Zeus plus Fenrir, so honestly, really dominant position by Samir, who, as mentioned, gonna get back a Fenrir. One more top deck from Ryhan.
Last chance to get an answer for this. What have you got, Ryan? It's a Zeus that we're staring down with a live Fenrir. This is...
Yeah, there goes the handshake. Well played by both, but it is Samir who convincingly wins it 2-0. What a match. Really, what a match.
I can't believe that he tried to go for that, you know, let you start despite everything, and it just didn't pay off.
Yeah, especially because like Samir started in all the going second cards, right? But he didn't draw any, basically, and then he paid off in the end, so...
Yeah, we mentioned now it was going to have a bittersweet ending regardless. Two friends, two teammates playing it out. But the journey from Samir and this fairy tale almost continues with this last minute booking. And now he's one of the 4 duelists remaining for a shot at the championship. Wow.
Only 4 players remain, and we'll have a look at just exactly what decks are remaining for the rest of this tournament. But Spright is going to advance on to top 4, the Spright Melfi version.
Yeah, especially because, like, taking a look at his deck, he has a lot of options. We have seen this weekend our players relying on multiple little engines on their deck, and he's a swap procs as well. He told us yesterday he likes Totally Awesome, he goes for that line in game 1, and then in game 2, I think, knowing that he goes Agony, just side them out.
Takes them out. I am still thinking that might be the only weak side of his deck, but maybe, I mean, we didn't see it in action in this match. We'll see whether he will be able to summon this Totally Awesome. But if I had to find, you know, just one thing I don't like that much about his deck list is the 3 copies of Swap Prog. But again, I can be completely wrong, and we'll see whether it will pay out. Regardless, from Ryhan, I don't think much can be said. He tried his best, as mentioned, maybe a little too many mind games. Well, I don't know.
Sometimes you try and be a little bit too clever, you know. So
yeah,
we're gonna have a little look at the top 8 deck breakdown here.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so the variety has dropped a little bit, we
Quite
can say.
significantly, yeah.
But honestly, one of them is still in top 4, and that is exactly our dear Samir. But Kashtira really showing why it is the most represented deck ever since the start. So 19% of the total field, around, what was it, 48 or something in the top cut, and now 75 in the top 8. Definitely showing massively, but still some runic decks as well left, and we will find out the remainings of the matchups and how they went down. But I think Samir definitely has what it takes to finally win a YCS after he became European champion. And I don't know if you guys have any predictions left from these top 8 incredible duelists, I guess.
I think Samir is no stranger to trying out unique and different strategies, but wow, I can't say how much I love Dinkabui's for hire deck.
Yeah,
that was incredible.
The deck is incredible. He showed us, I mean, incredible stuff, but for predictions, I think I'm done for the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
How's Brandon doing?
Yeah.
Ask me next event.
Yeah. But I mean, as you mentioned, we still have a lot of cool decks. Dinka is definitely the one with one of the most unique decks remaining with this Furrier, and we'll see. Definitely a lot of scary competition, a lot of accomplished duelists, and we could all go all the way to having more than just a single YCS champion. But Ryhan has been kicked out, so one of the possible 2 times YCS champion is not the case.
I don't think if you had a chance to look at the top 64 standings, overall, the top cut for this event has been absolutely stacked. There's so many named players, and we can see here even the last top 8 players remaining, all really good seasoned duelists.
A lot of different duelists. We have Flavio Columbo was a runner-up national champion, and then I think whatever.
What's the story there?
No, I was just, I mean,
poor Flavio.
No, Flavio, my dearest respect, but I would just call you out as the number
Poor
1 seed of the top 64 when we have, you know, a lot of already champions. But he's still there.
Yeah.
So he's still in the top 8. So maybe he is as soon to be champion. But yeah, as you mentioned, we had a lot of competitions from all over the world, and still having some potential big names. But regardless, only 2 matches remaining. This has been a long weekend, 18 matches in total to find out who is gonna be the champion for YCS London 2023. And 2 more remain.
You've been in this situation before where there's just 1, 2 more duels between you and victory.
And it's crazy, yeah. It's honestly a unique experience. You have to try and just take it as a game at a time, but obviously when you can see it, you can almost touch it, it's quite different. And this is exactly what we're gonna ask Samir, and to do that, who is better at that job than Head? Definitely not me, so let's go to the winner interview.
Thank you, Marcello. Very kind of you. I'm joined with our top 8 winner, Samir Bachar, who's just made his way into that semi-final, that top 4. Very exciting time. Samir, you've made it to the top 4. How do you feel?
Me feel it's possible. Now I'm playing versus my friends, and I cannot lose after one my friends. I don't accept.
How does it feel to duel a friend in the top 8?
It's strange playing versus my friends. I want a final if I playing versus my friends on the top 8. It's a game. And, yes, it's complicated for me to describe the emotion.
I understand.
I'm sad, I'm a little sad.
You're sad?
Yeah.
You're a very passionate man, Samir. I appreciate you've got a good energy about you, and I like that. We're just going to quickly go through the game because you did really well at dominating most of that. It was a 2-game win. So the first game, build a huge field, the Ninja Shadow Mosquito for that extra damage, and you attack the game. During that, how are you feeling? Are you feeling confident at that point?
Yes, for the road, after Ryhan used Unicorn and didn't banish my Mosquito, me just won the road for OTK because I cannot grind. And me save Carrot, Red, no Prosperity, only one face down. It's possible to fake, and Red Carrot, it's a whole possibility for one.
I mean, we get to hear your whole process there is great.
Yes.
And then we move into your second game. You had the full combo straight off the bat, and basically you basically just did a really good job of controlling the field, slowly chipping away that damage, and at the end that Kurikawa just kind of sealed it.
Kurikawa beginning me show off. And after that, whole Spright endurance with his hand of endurance, and just thinking I cannot win my extra deck. It's just Fenrir 240. It's so much for my monster level 2. Just thinking for proc Fenrir on Mannequin Card. For Fenrir, it's a solution.
Very much. Well, congratulations, Samir. You're now in that semi-final. Best of luck. Hope to see how far you can go in this. Maybe the final. Maybe you can go all the way. We'll see. That's what we'll see. Congratulations again. Guys, don't go anywhere, because before we get into that top 4, we've got ourselves a quick little quiz. We'll be right back.